Alright, so I'm just finishing up 99 woodcutting, just about 800,000 experience until, so I thought I'd make a quick video on how to two-tick teak trees, which is the method that I've used to 99 and is still, in my opinion, the best method. So I'm just going to jump right into it with the acquired quests and skills. Monkey Madness 1. You do not have to complete it fully, but you pretty much have to complete it fully. If you do not, then you're going to have to use the Crash Island and then Apatoll Glider to get back to Apatoll, which is extremely inefficient and time consuming, so just do Monkey Madness 1. Beyond that, 35 woodcutting obviously to cut the teak trees themselves. High enough HP, defense, or armor to make up for the lower defense and HP. That is obviously to sustain the 2 level 5 birds consistently attacking you. A short bow, woodcutting axe, and a way to lure the 2 level 5 birds. Obviously you can punch them, but you're probably going to end up killing them, so preferably Wind Strike or Curse Spells, as Wind Strike has a max hit of 2 and Curse Spells will lure them without doing any damage at all. For the recommended quests and skills, we have Monkey Madness 2. This makes it so that none of the enemies on Apatoll are aggressive to you, so you can just jump straight into luring the birds and two-ticking without having to stay in monkey form while cutting the tree for 15 minutes before everything is unaggressive to you. So definitely recommended there. It makes it a lot quicker, but if you don't have it, then again, just stay in monkey form for 15 minutes while cutting the trees, and the enemies will become unaggressive to you. Make sure not to move past the little hill that's on this side of the trees, that will re-aggro the enemies to you, so not fun. I do recommend 80 plus woodcutting. This is the point, in my opinion at least, that two-ticking becomes really worth it. As, I mean, two-ticking doesn't mean that you're going to get a log every 2 ticks no matter what your woodcutting level it is. It's still highly based off of your woodcutting level whether you cut the log or not, so higher woodcutting, faster experience, so 80 plus woodcutting probably the best to start at. Full Lumberjack, I am probably going to end up making a guide on obtaining Full Lumberjack, as a lot of the guides on that as well as two-ticking are dated. Either an HP cape or a regen bracelet. Obviously not required if you are higher defenses, you probably won't get hit too often, but it is still nice just to ensure that you can sustain here as long as possible, or as long as you want to, I should say. An Infernal Axe, definitely recommended. You can obviously do it with a regular dragon axe or even a rune axe if you're an Iron Man and don't have a dragon axe, or whatever the case may be, but the Infernal Axe is highly recommended, as it will keep your inventory from getting too cluttered too quickly, and it will also give you some free fire making experience, which I need as well. I bring 2 of them just for convenience sake, because if you do stay here for an extended period of time, one of them is going to run out on you. And bringing multiple dragon axes is fine as well, but you can't recharge the Infernal Axe while being attacked, so you would have to trap the birds, recharge the axe, and then lure the birds or get them in the correct pattern again. That's everything I have for the recommended items. The patterns themselves, there are 3 patterns these birds can attack you in, so we're going to start on the worst one, which is the way they're attacking me right now, where they're both attacking at the same time. But really, getting through the 3 patterns shouldn't take more than 20-30 seconds. See a lot of guides where it's taking them quite a bit of time to get them in the correct pattern, and just because they're not moving properly, not because it's hard by any means. It probably is the hardest thing about this method, to be honest, besides doing it consistently for a long period of time, but it, again, shouldn't take 20-30 seconds, so it's going to take me a little longer because I'm going to be explaining it, but I'm still going to do it as quickly as possible, just to show you how it should be done and how quickly you can get it, or the birds, in the correct pattern consistently. So Even if they're attacking you at the same time, you don't have to kill one of them. All you really have to do is move underneath them until they split apart from each other. It can take multiple attempts, but most of the time it happens on the first try. From here, you're going to want to move 2 spaces south of the closest bird to the direction you're moving. And sorry, I shouldn't say south. It doesn't have to be south. Whichever way they split apart from each other or wherever you're at, you can move 2 spaces away from the closest bird. And you want to move as soon, or I should say right before the birds are going to attack you. So we're going to move 2 spaces south right before they're set to attack me and go. So this one attacks me. The first one attacks me. The second one has to move a little bit further before it starts to attack you. And from here, you just want to make sure that you're lined up with the tree. And you just got to move 2 spaces in the direction that you need to move. Again, this could be west, this could be east, based on where you are at when you lure the birds. So I'm going to move 2 spaces as soon as the first one attacks me, and of course I suck, but it's fine because we're going to need to move further than just in between the trees anyways. So again, right as the first one attacks you, you move, and now you have the birds attacking you in the correct pattern, where one hits you, the hit splat goes away, the second one hits you. From here, you can just start to walk the birds 1 space in any direction, as long as you're not going to block the birds until you walk them into the correct position, which for me is only 1 space, and you can move at any time as long as you're only moving 1 space again. And this is where you want the birds to be able to utilize the third tree. From here, you can just move 2 spaces underneath them to get back to the middle of the tree, and it won't mess up your pattern. Just quickly to show you how to use the third tree, pretty simple. All you have to do is click the third tree, and this will not mess up the bird's pattern at all, unless there is another mob blocking them. And even then, I've never had that happen to me. I've just heard that it can happen, and I have had a snake in this position before, so I don't know exactly where the other mob needs to be in order for it to block you, but it's not very common. And if you're concerned about it or it happens to you, then just make sure the next time you don't move when there is a mob standing there. From here, when you want to move back to these other 2 trees, you do want to click in the middle of the trees, as if you click one or the other, it's going to move you right next to it, whether here or there, and then you're not going to be able to move easily between chopping these 2 trees. So click here before you start wood cutting one of the trees. Again, you can start on either one, that's personal preference. So now you have the birds in the correct position, you're in the correct position, they're hitting you on the correct pattern. We're ready to start actually 2-ticking. So from here, the easiest way I find to jump into the rhythm is just to start chopping the tree. Obviously, you need to have auto retaliate on, you need to have a short bow, and you need to be on rapid. Once you're chopping the tree, just click underneath the tree, and as soon as you see your character start turning towards the bird, click back to the tree, and then just hold this pattern, and as you will see, we'll start to woodcut in a 2-tick fashion. I don't typically do this while talking, so I'm probably going to mess up a few times, but just you can see the basic concept. And these click ranges are pretty generous when you're zoomed in all the way. I can click here, there, over here, underneath myself. Obviously, you don't want to pick up any teak logs, but you can basically click almost anywhere as long as it's not actually a separate square. And you can do this on both sides, obviously. So for the actual method of 2-ticking, you're going to want to incorporate dropping the logs while cutting the trees. So to do that, the easiest way I have found is while you're cutting this tree, as it is closer to your inventory, you just drop them. Again, once your guy turns, drop them, cut the tree, drop them, cut the tree. You kind of got to get into the pattern again, so probably easier if you start out actually chopping the trees, so then you can just kind of get into the rhythm here, and then you can drop them and click back to the tree. Obviously the tree was cut down at that point, but you saw that I would have clicked it in time. And I do this while cutting this tree again, as it is closer to your inventory and much more consistent to drop the logs, cut the tree, drop the logs, cut the tree. And if I could do this while speaking, I would demonstrate it, sorry. So really you're going to want to cut at least 8 logs, as again you're going to be dropping multiple at a time. You can cut whatever amount, but I find 8 is the easiest, so I can just drop them, start cutting, go back to the rhythm, drop them, start cutting, go back to the rhythm. And you don't have to go back to the rhythm by clicking underneath the tree. You can just drop the others, and that's what I will do when I'm going. If I can hold it while talking, close enough. I did it a couple times, but again, much easier when you're not talking. I'm making it look a little more difficult than it is, but I'll do that while cutting this one. And then when I'm cutting this tree, I will just do the click underneath it, as most of the time you're not going to cut 20 plus logs from a single tree, so you can just do this one lazily and then drop what you got from that tree while you're cutting this tree. I typically only use these 2 trees, and I will get 150 to 160,000 woodcutting experience an hour. If you incorporate the 3rd tree, you're probably going to get closer to 170,000 or more, as long as you can do it consistently, of course. The reason I don't incorporate the 3rd tree very often is because I play on an alt account while playing this account, so it needs to be a little bit more AFK for me, as I will have to click on the other account every once in a while. Just staying at these 2 trees is good enough. Again, 150,000 experience in woodcutting an hour is still a very decent amount. I should mention that you can also fletch darts or whatever, as long as it doesn't actually pop up a box. You can fletch them while cutting the tree, and that will also nullify your character to start turning towards the bird. If you're already 99 woodcutting, if you have multiple woodcutting capes, you can just click to where one, chop the tree, click to where the other, and that will make it so that your level 100 boost from having the cape will always stay up, which will increase your experience an hour, and it will nullify you from cutting the tree and turning back to the bird. Of course, if there was anything that I didn't cover, you have any questions, comments, please leave them. I will respond to everything, and I hope it was helpful, and sorry that it dragged on longer than it should have.